campus is safe based on the recommendation of our PD and based on the recommendation of Cobb PD, as you heard. It's been a scary day, but we're thankful for the partnerships that you see represented behind us and the priority that our board and superintendent have put on student safety.
Are there any questions?
Chief, you specifically said that they weren't students at this school. Are they students at any Cobb County school? Were they students previously at this school? Do you know the relationship, why they were there at that exact moment when all this unfolded this afternoon?
No, sir, we do not know the answers to those questions. Our primary concern today was to stabilize the situation, make sure the kids were safe, teachers were safe, their officers were safe, and but I will say this, those things of course would be determined in the investigation, and much of that is probably not going to be released anytime soon. We did verify with the school that the two individuals that were hurt were not students, because we knew there was a concern from parents of students at the school that their children might be in harm's way.
Are those two people, were they shooting at each other, or is there still a shooter out there that you guys are looking for?
We are still looking for suspects in this case.
Suspects.
We do have descriptions, but I do not have them. And they are sometimes conflicting in early stages of the investigation.
You said suspects, so multiple.
Yes, sir. And we don't know that we have multiple shooters. We just know that there were multiple people on site when this shooting occurred.
You mentioned that the school here is safe, but there were reports that other schools, area hospitals, and things like that were on lockdown. Can you talk about the insular response and when those were pulled back?
I don't know when those were pulled back. I don't know if John may, but
Yeah. I can. I've referenced some of those procedures and processes to make sure the kids stay safe across the county. Anytime there's an incident in a school, we assess the surrounding area and surrounding schools, in this case, Varner and Compton.
as our investigators continue to investigate, they're already investigating right now on multiple fronts. But yes, I assume, that's an assumption on my part, that is actually the shooting that we're talking about. Yes, ma'am.
And just another follow-up, in that video it appears that those individuals had those weapons. I know it was in the parking lot, but is there any indication that these weapons did make it on campus and the rest of them may have had those weapons on property?
I don't know that, and that would probably be a detail we would not release anyway.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
This might be for Bob. I know most teachers are equipped with those panic button lanyard things. Were those used today?
I can't. That's not the way we found out administratively. I think you heard Chief reference the 911 call, but I can tell you that system works and has been activated on campus. I can't tell you whether that was the first thing that happened today, but it's certainly been part of that process that I referenced and part of that investment we've made to make sure that we're ready for a day like today, and it certainly worked the way it was intended.
Chief, one more question for you. I'm so sorry. This collaboration, how relieved were you guys when you realized that this was not an active shooter situation where someone is on campus, going door to door or classroom to classroom, and that not that this is a good circumstance, but that it wasn't worse?
That's hard to put into words. The reason that the men and women put on the uniform is to be the one to go in that school in an active shooter. I know that's a dichotomy, but if you picture your own child in that school, you will know whether you would go in or not. And the thought of it, even with strangers, is bothersome to any law enforcement officer, any human being. But there's a huge difference between a shooting and an active shooter. And so I don't really know how I could contain that in words. I think it's probably how each of you feel, except a little closer to home, because I know I have my police officers going into that scene, and I know how amazingly dangerous it is. But it also makes me love them and want to protect them more. So that's the best I can do to try to put in words how thankful I am that this was not actually an active shooter.
Is there a current search going on for the shooter, like on the ground?
Not on the ground. Well, yes, on the ground. I mean, we believe that the shooters probably left, and we have our lookouts are out to law enforcement, and we're trying to more specifically define that lookout right now through our incredible detectives who have 100% clearance rate in their homicides for several years now. I have the utmost confidence that they will refine that lookout and that they will help narrow the list of suspects down to something that's manageable so that we can make everybody safe and get these folks in custody. That's it. Anything else? All right. That's it. Thank y'all.
Appreciate you coming. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you.
There in front of the school earlier this afternoon, right before 2 o'clock, we're hearing. Again, we know that they are still looking for suspects, but as you can see in this live picture, the buses are now rolling. Students have been released from the campus.
And just a little timeline, Jonathan, as you were saying, this call of a shooter at McEachern High School. Once again, that shooter in the parking lot of the campus, not on campus, a very important distinction there. But that call came around 2 o'clock, 2:30. School was supposed to be released around 3:30. But the school was still in a hard lockdown, a code red there. And then about 3:45, we got alert that there was going to be a press conference, police updating the media about what was going on. About 3:50, that's when we heard that the school was safe. Those students started to head out of the school into the buses, and as you can see right now, those buses taking to the roads to get there. This was a very scary situation for parents in the area, but once again, these two people who were shot, they were shot in the parking lot of the high school, but police confirming that they were not high school students today.
Yes, and we also heard from the chief really reiterating that this was not an active shooter situation, although that's what they responded to because you never know exactly what you're encountering. But they say there was never any real threat to students inside the schools. However, the school was on a hard lockdown, a code red, for more than an hour this afternoon while they investigated. But again, they say that the campus is secure, and right now they're trying to look for those suspects, and perhaps that may be a bit easier. As we heard the chief say, there could be video out there. There is video circulating on social media that he says, in his words, he assumes does show some of the incident.
Our Bo Beth Yates asking that very important question. That video on social media circulating shows about 10 people. You hear 2 gunshots. Our newsroom has not been able to independently verify that video, but we have a team working on trying to do that. But once again, we are looking at live pictures of the high school right here. That campus is safe. We do have team coverage on this breaking story, and we are going to get to our team soon. Our Brittany Kleinpeter is live at the scene. Brittany, you have been out there. I know that you're not able to get very close to the campus right now because it is still an active scene. But what can you tell us from the ground? What are you seeing?
Yeah, so if you see what's going on behind us, there are multiple officers blocking off the roadway. This is what we're pretty much seeing at every point where you can get to this high school. And this high school is an open campus. There's buildings spread out. A little over 2,000 students attend this high school, so pretty large. We've been spending about 45 minutes really just trying to get as close as possible to this campus as we can. As you mentioned, no longer an active scene, but they said that this is an active investigation, so they want to keep people away from the high school for as long as possible. They're asking drivers to avoid this area. It is getting busy. We're seeing some school buses coming out of the high school now. As you guys mentioned, there is a separate area where the students are being taken to meet their parents. It looks like we are seeing a couple of school buses come out right now. You're seeing this live with us right now. That looks like the officers are stopping traffic for those school buses, but we haven't seen any traffic come out of that roadway since we've been standing out here for the last 15 minutes. But again, this is just kind of what we're seeing around this school property. This school told us that, this still is an active investigation, and they want to keep us as far back as possible. Guys?
Brittany Kleinpeter, thanks so much. Now let's check in with our Bobeth Yates. She's at the intersection of New Macklin Road and Richard D. Saylors Parkway. Bobeth, we know there was just a news conference. We could hear you asking several questions there about who these people were involved, the social media video that's out there. What else are you hearing from the ground there from law enforcement?
Well, law enforcement overall are saying that they wanted just to be clear that this is not an active or was not an active shooter situation, but instead a shooting that happened at the school. In that press conference, they say some students and some non-students got into an altercation in the parking lot of the school, and guns were drawn. The two victims are not students of the school, but officials could not confirm their identity or if they were in school at all, at any school. Officials did tell me that they are investigating it and they're looking for it. They said they have 100% homicide detective. Their homicide detective has 100% rate of solving their crime. So they're confident that the two shooters, suspects that have left the scene, that they will be caught eventually. They say they're looking by air, by ground, using flock cameras and just other resources to help track down the individuals that were on campus. Again, the two victims that were shot are not students, and this incident occurred in the parking lot of the school. When I did ask officials if in any way, shape, or form they believe the guns were on campus or in the actual school building, they say they could not confirm that at this point, but it does not appear to be that was the issue. They say overall, much of this was contained to the parking lot amongst the group of students and non-students that were actually having that altercation. Of course, they're going to continue to do their investigation to track down those shooters, and we'll be out here trying to get more details as they do that. Sending it back to you.
All right, Bobeth, thanks for that update. Again, those two people shot, expected to survive. And again, suspects, we're hearing that more than one person officers are looking for right now. But we do want to let you know about this. Parents, I know a lot of parents have been worried, concerned. They have not been allowed on campus because it is still an active crime scene, as the officers told us. Instead, parents can meet their kids at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That is where they are meeting right now. That address is 2595 New Macklin Road. Here's a map showing the proximity to the school. Now, police say parents should take Richard D. Saylors Parkway because New Macklin Road, again, is currently closed for the investigation.
And I want to say one thing, too. You might want to check with your student by cell phone before you head out there. We did see live pictures of a lot of students getting onto those buses because we do know that those school buses will also be taking your child home. So if you do have a student at McEachern High School, check with them before heading to that reunification location.
That's good to know. Well, our traffic expert, Crash Clark, I know has been looking around this as well. And I know there are a number of closures, Crash. So what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, just like when we saw Brittany Kleinpeter on the scene there, this is exactly right where she is. Let me step out of the way so you can get the full picture. This is Macklin Road at Lost Mountain Road. Lost Mountain Road, you see one of the school buses right there going through that intersection. Now that where that school bus is going, that actually becomes New Macklin Road. And now police obviously are only allowing the buses to go through that area now. Let's get right over to it in the heart of Powder Springs, McEachern High School. You can see it off to the left there, and the major part of the police activity basically along New Macklin Road between Macedonia to the south and Macklin Road to the north. Now, the good thing about traffic is you've got multiple ways to get around this one. Hopkins Road, that's to the east of McEachern High School. That runs north and south, and that'll put you in between both points of Macedonia and Macklin, a little bit closer to McEachern, but to the west of it is Old Lost Mountain Road. That too runs north and south, parallel with New Macklin Road, and that will get you around the scene. But obviously, this is going to be very active for quite a while. Faith?
All right, Crash, thank you so much for bringing us that update. For those of you watching and have been watching along with us, we will stay with you throughout the story and any updates throughout the night. For the latest developments, you can stay connected through the 11 Alive News app. All you have to do is scan that QR code you see right there and download it straight to your mobile device.
Nice spring-like afternoon today. We had a partly sunny sky and temperatures in Atlanta skyrocketing to the 60s again. Nice west wind helping to bump those temperatures up. And across the metro, a lot of spots are up in the low 60s from Peachtree City to Covington, Marietta at 61, 58 in Canton. This evening, partly cloudy skies will continue, so not dropping off as quickly with those temperatures, cooling off to the upper 40s as we look towards about 8 o'clock tonight. And then tomorrow morning will not be as cold. Warm weather sticking around tomorrow. We'll talk about that and rain for your weekend in just a bit.
So much. Well, coming up, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin makes a formal apology over his unannounced absence to treat prostate cancer.
Also supporting small business owners right here in Atlanta. We'll take you inside Atlanta Technical College's new Small Business Development Center. That's next.
Welcome back. Right now, police in South Fulton are investigating possible human trafficking.
That's right. This is all happening in a neighborhood off Old National Highway. 11 Alive's Tracy A. McPeer has been there on the scene all day talking to neighbors and joins us live. Tracy.
Well, neighbors tell me that this house on Orley Terrace is where loud parties have been held for months, and that gunshots this morning brought the police out in full force. Now, South Fulton police confirmed that they were called out around 9 this morning for reports of gunshots. A neighbor shared this video of the 19 people police detained, with ages ranging from 16 to 40. Chief Keith Meadows tells me right now they are investigating this as a case of possible human trafficking. Ryan Gibson, who lives a few houses away, tells me he is not surprised and that ever since November, there have been overnight parties many times a week.
The party would start at, let's say, 11 o'clock at night and not end till 8 in the morning. There will be Uber cars that will literally be lined up down the street as if it was an event, a concert or something, and it would be young girls coming out with bags, so we had no idea what was going on inside the home. So it definitely had us all up in arms throughout the neighborhood.
Now, Chief Meadows tells me that no one was injured this morning when those shots were fired, and they do have the person who fired the shots in custody. He also tells me that right now, the 19 people who were detained are still being interviewed.
Tracy A. McPeer live in South Fulton. Thank you. Well, the city of Griffin, the city water tank in Griffin, cracked open, sending hundreds of thousands of gallons of water spewing out.
That's right. So today we talked to the city manager to figure out how this could impact you if you were in that area. 11 Alive's Molly Oak live in Griffin for us tonight. So Molly, when does the city expect to have that answer as to what went wrong here?
And that's the big question, right? Hopefully one that they'll get an answer to in the next day or so. I want you to look up behind me. If you go all the way up that water tower, right where almost those metal bars make an X, you see what looks like a smudge. That's where the city manager tells me was the crack. So the first step is getting a crew from the tank maintenance company out here to do an inspection. I want you to take a look at this video that we got earlier. We were outside when that crew showed up today and worked their way around and inside the water tower. That's because yesterday the Griffin water tower cracked and it leaked water for hours. City says it also started draining the water tower to empty it faster so they could start working on what happened. While they figure that out, Jessica O'Connor, the city manager, says your drinking water is safe.
There is no need to boil any water. You're actually not using the water that was from here anyway, so it has no impact on the current water. There also is no impact to your bill or your water rate because we budget every year for tank maintenance, and so this maintenance will fall under our maintenance agreement, which is already part of the calculation of the rate, so there won't be an increase.
We're giving you one more look at where that crack is on the Griffin Water Tower as we bring you back down. Now, after crews finished up their inspection today, the next step is for a structural engineer with the tank maintenance company to come over and figure out what's going on next. Now, that's scheduled to happen tomorrow. That's hopefully when the city manager says the city should get some more answers about what happened here yesterday. Guys.
Thank you, Molly. We've got a nice spring-like afternoon outside right now. We have a bit of cloud cover that's been streaming in. I think this is going to make for a really nice sunset, but we managed to make it to the low 60s. So that was a jump up in our temperatures by more than 5 degrees. And our weather pattern for the end of the week and the start of the weekend is still going to be warm outside. So saw the daffodils popping out of the ground today, this morning in the backyard. You might have seen some walking around your neighborhood as well. Tomorrow, we're going to be warmer than we were today. We made it to 62 today. Tomorrow, going for 66. We'll still keep that 60-degree temperature and tap for Saturday. But then you notice this temperature trend by the second half of the weekend. We drop back below this average high. We'll go from 60 on Saturday down to the upper 40s on Sunday. So a big drop in temperatures, and that's coming because we have this next low pressure system moving in from the west. So we'll have a wedge of cool air building in and then moisture overrunning it. So although our weekend starts mild and bright outside, by your Sunday, we're tracking the increased clouds, those colder temperatures, some gusty winds, and this low will send some rain showers to our area. Now, I'll tell you the rain shower coverage and how much rain we get. Models have been keeping that rainfall a little bit further south today. So that backs us off from the rainfall totals. Yesterday when we were looking at the models, it was looking at about an inch of rain. Now it looks more like a ½ inch to an inch of rain with those highest rainfall totals south of I-20. That will be coming in between late on Sunday and Monday morning. So for your weekend, breezy and mild on Saturday. It is going to be rather gusty on Sunday. I think we could see some wind gusts up to 35 miles per hour throughout the day. We'll have some showers moving in. Let me show you the timing of those here on the forecast track. Cloud cover hanging around a bit overnight. It's going to keep us not quite as cold tomorrow morning as we were today. Tomorrow, good mix of clouds and sunshine. There's your warm temperature up to 66 in the afternoon. Great spring-like afternoon to enjoy some time outdoors. By Saturday, winds switch out of the north and east. It'll turn breezy through the day, but still we make it to around 60 degrees. But here come the clouds and the showers behind it. Sunday morning showers starting to push in towards West Georgia, but they'll be more likely as we head into Sunday afternoon. By the way, tomorrow morning, Groundhog Day. We'll see if Bo sees his shadow. It is going to be partly cloudy for the bus tomorrow morning, 43 degrees. Here's your 7-day forecast. As we head through the next couple days, nice spring-like warmth. Rain showers moving in late Sunday, clearing out early Monday. Crash.
All right, Melissa, appreciate that. There's a reason I'm always saying slow down in those GDOT work zones. Look at this right here. That could just as easily have been a GDOT worker. That is a construction barrel that car took out, and they're sitting right in the middle of the road on 285 eastbound near Boulder Crest. That downtown ride, already a crowded house on both sides of the connector. Here's your trouble down at Boulder Crest. You see police are now getting with that 285 eastbound at Boulder Crest Road, but the bad thing is it's already backing up towards Jonesboro Road. And again, that downtown connector in trouble. 20 minutes from Brookwood to the south side split, almost a half hour from that south side split up to Brookwood, but there's a reason. A car fire took out 2 right lanes. It's now off to the right on the connector northbound near I-20. Jonathan?
All right, keep us posted, Crash. Thanks. Today, the legacy of a baseball Hall of Famer is now being linked to help people hit a home run with their budding business ventures. Atlanta Technical College unveiled its new Small Business Development Center. The facility's mission is to give entrepreneurs the resources and tools they'll need to start and grow successful businesses here in the Atlanta community. Today's unveiling is being linked with Hank Aaron, as he was a major contributor to ATC and served on the college's board until his passing in 2021. Some of the services the center will offer include one-on-one consultations, business development plans, and financial guidance. We'll have more news coming up on 11 Alive News at 4 right after a short break.
President Biden taking a step today to try and bring down those accused of attacking Palestinians and Israeli peace activists in the West Bank. Here's Ron Jones with the details.
Yeah, so Faith, the president issued a new executive order putting sanctions against 4 Israeli nationals for alleged acts of violence in the Israeli-occupied territory of the West Bank. So the order could potentially be used on Israeli politicians and government officials who were also involved in the attacks. This comes as some Muslim and Arab Americans are really upset the Biden administration has not called for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Since the war began on October 7th, more than 26,000 people have been killed in that region. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin admitting mistakes were made in the handling of his prostate cancer treatment. He made that admission this morning in his first news conference since returning back to work. Austin was hospitalized twice in the last couple of months, but it was only after his second hospital stay that his surgery, hospitalizations, and diagnosis were revealed to President Biden and the senior administration officials. Well, today the secretary says that he mishandled communication on the issue.
I'm deeply grateful to my doctors and the nursing staff at Walter Reed, and I very much appreciate all the good wishes. But I want to be crystal clear. We did not handle this right, and I did not handle this right.
So now a formal inquiry into Austin's leave of absence is underway by the House Armed Services Committee. The defense secretary has been called to appear, but today he did not say whether he's going to testify.
And unfortunately, we're going to give you another alert here leaving downtown. If you look on the left side of your screen there, 2 right lanes are blocked with a wreck on I-20 westbound just before you get to H.E. Homes. We're going to see a lot of delays getting out of downtown, and we still have major problems on the southeast perimeter. A lot to get to.
Plus, we're in the 60s right now, but cooler temperatures, rain, it's on the way in by the end of the weekend. We'll talk about that in your forecast at 4:30.